Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Friday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early. It's not even 3:30 here in Connecticut on the East Coast. All right, I'm not even going to kid around about being here before 3:30 today. I got something really this is probably the most serious video I've ever made. All right, let me start at the beginning here. I love this channel. Being in recovery for 16 years now, I've had this channel for about 6 years. It's one of I consider it one of the big accomplishments in my life. Actually, getting this video, getting this channel, and having it monetized, meeting the requirements to having it monetized. I am not going to try to monetize this video. I'm praying that I still have this channel after I make this video. This video is 100% true. Everybody in my life, all my friends, my family know this story already, and it's 100% true. I feel like the reason I'm still alive after over 2 decades of serious drug use, abuse, addiction is part of it is for this channel and to talk to other people. In 56 years, almost 57, I've gone through a lot of things. And a lot of people won't talk about what they've been through, and I feel like this is an important reason why I've made it this far, is to just be honest on here and talk about things that other people are too embarrassed to talk about. Okay, let me start. Like I said, I'm not going to even try to monetize this video. I'm going to talk about some stuff here today that some people could find offensive or troubling or whatever, and it's my truth, and I'm going to talk about it and let the chips fall where they may. All right, I came across a video on LGBTQ. It's on my app, my Flipboard app. This is one of the magazines that's on my Flipboard app that has stories a lot, and they had a story about a Texas preacher today, Tanner Furr, Tanner Furrh. Of the Steadfast Baptist Church in Watauga, Texas. And right down below, the very first clip down below will be a clip of him. And I'm going to sum up what he says here. He says that if he did the thing that the right thing, the thing that Jesus taught, to respect and honor everybody, gay people, and to hate, and he actually said this phrase, to hate the sin, not the sinner. He says that if I said that, you really wouldn't have hate in your heart, would you? So then he goes on to say, but if I called them, then he uses the popular slur for gay men, begins with F. And if I said all blank are, I even though this isn't monetized, I'm not going to say what he says. He labels the whole LGBTQ community as child abusers. And he says, if I say that though, you could start getting a perfect hate in your heart. And he says this might not sound good to people in general, but it's good for the spirit. And I watched this, and one thing I know for sure, like I said, I've read the Bible. I'm not religious. I have faith. But this guy talking about, first of all, labeling an entire group of people and wanting everybody to hate them. And this guy's a preacher. I know one thing, and hate will eat you alive. Like they say, hate is like acid. It'll eat the vessel that it's in. It'll destroy the vessel that it's in. And this guy is a preacher, and he's talking about the perfect hate that's good for the spirit. And I watch this, and I think to myself, if there ever is an antichrist, if there is anybody actually, if there is a Satan, if there is a devil, if there is actually somebody here working for him, this guy is it. This guy is the exact opposite, preaching the exact opposite of what Jesus taught. And even if you don't believe in Jesus, the fact that he's talking about wanting people to have a perfect hate in their heart, I know for a fact what hate does to people. It will eat you alive. It'll lead to drug abuse and all sorts of other stuff. And to see this guy actually promote this, I have to talk about this today. I'm going to have links down below. I'm just going to say this flat out. I was sexually abused starting at 11 years old. I honestly don't remember the exact year. Till I was probably almost 16. I've underestimated that age because I'm still embarrassed. It got to a point where I pulled out a pair of nunchucks and I swung them and I took a piece out of the ceiling. It was in my family's home, and I saw the look on his face. At first he laughed, and then I swung again and I hit him, and he backed off, and that was the beginning of the end of him abusing me. This guy was dating my mother, all right? This was a straight policeman. I've told you guys this story before. My father passed away. We were living in the ranger's house in the park, and the police would come through, and he was one of his name was Pat Butler. He's passed away now, from the Watertown Police Department. He was a decorated officer. I guess he got in a shootout, Straits Turnpike, Watertown, Connecticut, back in the 70s, and he was wounded, and he had all these honors, and he was married, he had kids, but he was a predator. He abused me, and I actually saw pictures of other abused kids that I found when he gave me magazines that he groomed me. He groomed me. This was a straight police officer. Right down below from the Zero Abuse Project, there's a statistic that 80% of male abusers of boys are straight guys, married with families. 80%. And I know, because I was in one of these relationships, or abusive situations. This went on for years. Like I said, I underestimated. This is probably the first time I even said it went on until I was 15 or 16. When I got a car, I remember that was it. And I grew a lot too at that point. And I had to physically fight him. I've underestimated that age because there's still embarrassment in my heart, because I feel like that if I was 15, even at 14 or 15, I should have fought him off. This was a full-grown, decorated, like 220-pound, 6'2" police officer, and I was a boy. And I still feel guilty to this day. I still kind of underestimate the age where I actually stood up for myself because I feel embarrassed in my heart. My whole family knows this is a true story. I actually blurted this out right before I got clean and sober on Mother's Day. I don't know why that happened to my mother. I was always afraid people wouldn't believe me. He was abusing me right behind my mother's back. He was dating my mother. He was dating other women on top of seeing my mother. And I found all this stuff out. I found all this stuff out, and I had to keep this hidden. I've talked about how it started, how he groomed me and he gave me magazines. You lost your dad, Daryl. He died, but I'll be there for you. I'll help you out. I remember even talking about in the future, when you get a car, when you turn 16, I'll help you work on it. If the radiator hose blows. And I talked about this in other videos, and I had a bad vibe. I knew this guy was bad right from when he first started dating my mother when I was 11. And I would never want to be around him. Like, my mother would leave me with him when she ran to the store or something. I would hide. I would lock myself in the bathroom. And the abuse hadn't even started yet. Until that one day when he was sitting next to me on the couch, and he reached over and grabbed me and said, "How's the stem of your stinger, Daryl?" And it got much worse from there. This was a straight guy, a supposedly straight guy. Policeman, decorated policeman, with kids. He had a son who's also a policeman. Like I said, this man has passed away now. I didn't start. Did this have anything to do with me abusing drugs? I don't know. But I don't know where this video is going to fall. I'm saying a lot of things that just aren't cool here. I'm not even going to attempt to monetize this video. If you go back through my videos, I've talked about this before. I think it's all culminated, come to this. Like I said, I've been kind of disappointed with my views lately, and in my heart, I know I have this channel for a reason. And it's not to make a few bucks here and there, you know, and try to get a few views here and a few views there. It's just to help people, to say something important. And this is it. So let the chips fall where they may. When I see this preacher, Tanner Fuhrer from Steadfast Baptist Church in Watauga, Texas, talking about having a perfect hate in your heart for an entire group of people, and then labeling them a perfect hate. And it might not sound right, but it's good for this. It's good. I hear a preacher saying that hate is good for the spirit. I had to speak up, and I had to make this video. Check out the links down below. I'm going to see how the views go. And I can tell you, I was abused for a good 5 years. And I have stories that will curl your hair, that you would not believe would happen to a child, a boy, by a straight police officer. Like I said, the first time I lost my virginity was with him in the room with a prostitute when I was 13. He gave me rolls of quarters to keep me quiet, because I used to play when Asteroids first came out back in, I don't know, was it 81 or 80, 79? He'd give me rolls of quarters after he was finished abusing me so that I wouldn't talk. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I knew what a prostitute was, and I used to think, oh my God, I'm a prostitute, you know. And like I said, never mind the fact that he was a full-grown man and I was a kid. I was still embarrassed. I thought it was my fault. I thought it made me gay, you know. And now I know better. Now I know better. And he was a predator, and this whole thing really had nothing to do with being gay, anyone being gay, me or him. He was a predator, pure and simple. All right. I see I'm running along on time. Let me see how the views go. Let me see the comments. I'll tell you guys the whole story and more of everything that happened to me. I think that's the reason I'm here. You know, not just to get a $100 check here or a couple $100 check from Google every month or so. You know, it's this. You guys have a good Friday.